Hi, Allie. I love you, and I'm really sorry it's taken me more than a week to do this. But I know I said Monday or Tuesday, and it is Thursday. And this is the third part of my silly story from a redhead from Reading, England, Asleep, Leavened by Heaven. Chapter 2, Stranger and Stranger. Life was not always easy for the only singleton in a town of twins. Strange she'd never thought about it before. Was Cordy unique? How many towns were there in this whole wide, cruel, barren land whose sole inhabitants were twins? Except for her, of course. With Zebulon, her twin, dead almost a year ago at the tender age of 14 in a hunting accident, she was the only child remaining to her parents. Ironic, really, since she was the more redundant of the two. He was strong, handsome, popular, a great warrior. Sabina, on the other hand, was small, insecure, and almost invisible. Settlement life was harsh, yes, even brutal at times. But Zeb had been a good brother. He didn't deserve to have his life cut short at such an early age. As for her, she still lived in his shadow. Zebulon had pleased his parents, done their bidding without question, been a source of joy to them. She never seemed to accomplish any of those feats. Rebellious, impulsive, never able to hold her tongue, not exactly the black sheep, more like a whole flock. She knew the trite platitudes, yet the questions remained. All she'd ever been taught by her parents about the one was that he was supposed to love his people, cherish his people, protect his people, provide for his people. How could she begin to believe in love, such a love, when she knew none herself? Why would a supposedly good creator, the one who knows all, sees all, guides all, let her brother die and answer questions, the story of her life? Her own townsfolk didn't quite understand her, neither condemned nor condoned her life and her choices. True, they didn't really care for her, but she wasn't completely ostracized either. For that she was grateful. She treated them with alacrity, trying hard to accept her lot. Sabina's mind wandered back to her original waking thought. Today felt strange, like a new page had begun in the life of her book, a fresh start about to present itself. After gently stretching, she climbed out of bed, dressed carefully so as not to touch the painful lacerations with the drab shift, then furiously brushed nondescript brown hair, finally sweeping it back in a blue ribbon, her favorite. Breakfast was a simple affair in the settlement town, often eggs supplied by a neighbor in exchange for some of Mama's bread. The whole settlement both survived and thrived on the barter system. She hummed softly, stirring the pan. Today her parents would have something extra special, fresh basil and dill grown in her very own garden. After calling them to breakfast, she went to set the dishes on the table. Hearing a small sound outside, she paused. Noises were not unusual since women's work began at daybreak. Yet she felt the need to investigate all the same. As Zabina pulled the rough curtain aside, she gasped. Two strangers were sitting silently less than 5 feet away from the hut, quietly staring at her. Pulling herself together to ask the commonly accepted village greeting, she murmured, "How may I serve you?" "The one be exalted at all things," answered the shorter in a monotone voice. The two visitors rose and bowed low to the ground in front of her. The taller of the strangers, after glancing at his friend, studied her face. "Good morrow, Zabina Kiriathim. We are here to serve you. I hope this day finds you well." His voice was surprisingly soft, at odds with his large frame. "Excuse me? Who are you? And what do you want?" she snapped, fear gripping her heart and tying her stomach in knots at the sound of her name. The taller of the two laid a hand on her shoulder, eyes boring deep into hers. "I am Oreb, and this is Zeb," he said kindly. "Mission, mandate, message, must be told," mumbled the shorter one. Zeb, if she'd heard correctly. Zabina would be the first to admit she had a fairly short fuse, particularly in the morning. Patience had never been a strength, and it was way too early to be having peculiar conversations with either more peculiar strangers, wearing strange clothes, probably from some strange place she'd never heard of. "We come from the town of the prophets, in the region of Vania," said Oreb, as if reading her mind. "We have a message for you, Zabina Kiriathim. May we speak to you?" He extended his hand in earnest. "Town of the prophets? It actually exists? The rumors are true? Now that's interesting," she thought. However, she decided to dismiss that thought and pursue another. "Mission? What mission? Why me? And how do you know my name?" Her stomach and the knots were growing tighter with each passing minute. "We know many things, Zabina Kiriathim. We have come here to see if you are interested in knowing them." He smiled congenially. "Since they concern you, may I suggest you say yes?" "Who are you? And please don't use my birth name. Zabina will do fine." "Mission ardent. Be ye unwilling?" asked Zeb in the same cryptic voice. Weird talk, certainly, yet it piqued her curiosity, which often led to trouble. But still. "What mission?" she asked, cautiously again. "Sacrifice. Sacred meal." Oh, yeah, that Zeb was definitely bizarre. Hopefully harmless, but that remained to be seen. "All in good time, my friend, all in good time." Oreb now laid his hand on the arm of his traveling companion and spoke for a moment in hushed tones. "May we rest a while and talk? Your parents must know of the choice set before you, Zabina. It is rather momentous, and you may wish to seek their counsel." He gestured inside the hut. Recalling her manners, or lack of them, Zabina murmured grudgingly, "You are welcome here. Come and refresh yourselves." Though she found the words strangely at odds with her true desires, she kicked herself mentally for being so rude when Corda placed such a high priority on kindness to strangers. Her mother's words came back to her. You never know when you may entertain the one unawares. Once again she had failed her parents and failed her town. What was new? She pulled aside the wooden door and curtain, reaching forward to set 2 more plates at the table. The stranger stepped inside. He had to admit it. Watermelon tasted good after burying a body in the desert. Annam's blue face and tortured grimace would stay with him for quite some time. Of that he was certain. So much for mighty warrior. The idiot hadn't even seen it coming. Cleaning up the watermelon didn't bother him so much, but the blood? Now that was another story. It was his second kill. Well, not kill exactly. The first was more like a mistake. He really hadn't planned this one either, any more than he deliberately orchestrated the sequence of events leading up to it. Wrong place, wrong time, just like last time. So, since it wasn't premeditated, it wasn't really killing. Or so he told himself. Annam just had to run his mouth. No sense at all. Why do folk always think they know when in reality they haven't a clue? Annam was a fool to cross him. He was not a man to be crossed. Sighing, he shouldered the shovel and began to walk out of the desert. Then he smiled. He was starting to develop a taste for blood. Okay, Allie, that's chapter 2. And now I would like to share with you my crazy tree. And I'm sure that anybody who was interested last time can see what I've added this week. I'm going to try to add a detail every single week and make it more vague so that only the really observant will see. I wish you a wonderful 2 weeks and hope to have another part of the story up in the next 2 weeks. But I would like to show something else to you. I found this week, and I think this is the coolest lighthouse I have ever seen. It didn't come with a candle that I put on the bottom, but I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments if you like the story and you're interested in what's going to happen next. Okay, have a great week. Bye.